swimming is such a great sport. I mean, I really love it. I wasn't a particularly fit child, I wasn't particularly good at any other sport, but swimming is something I really love, and it's really lovely to share that passion for swimming that I have and be part of this.
Well, I'm really excited that there's so many people taking part of all abilities, and I think it's great that there's lots of youngsters that can swim with their mums and dads and stuff, and a lot of people have never done this before.
This British Gas Swim Britain initiative is so important. It's a great way to get families but also friends and people involved in swimming.
They're all here to support each other, which is great morale, and hopefully will boost their confidence and self-esteem.
What we want is that in the next few years we want 500,000 people swimming regularly, and the benefits of that are huge.
It's a big challenge, but I think having events like this is really going to make a big difference to that.
Good afternoon and welcome to Tollcross International Swimming Centre in Glasgow for coverage of the Scottish Gas National Swimming Championships, brought to you live and exclusive by Scottish Swimming in partnership with Glasgow Life, Scottish Gas, Speedo and QTV Sports. It's day 3 of what's already proved to be a fantastic championships. We've had Scottish records, British records and world ranked top 10 times over the first 2 days. And last night we saw a galaxy of stars competing for the right to represent Scotland in this year's Commonwealth Games. We had 22 nomination times, that's great, and we're able to give you a look at last night's very exciting session, one of the best at the Nationals. Here she is, once again, out on her own, head down, going for the wall, 8 strokes, 9 strokes to the wall, 2:12.94 to Hannah Miley. What a super swim. Absolutely excellent, really good posting, and a signal to all those in the Commonwealth that she is ready to swim. Rennick doesn't want to lose this. It's 3:51.96 you're looking at. They close in on this. This is a wonderful little swim from Rennick. 3:48.34. Getting ever closer to that long-standing record. 3:46.7. And Rennick at this stage in the season posts out a top world time at 3:48. Katie Armitage of Hatfield, the Anglo-Scot, coached by Ian Wright, coming in at the last. A real good drive to take maybe Scott, but it's Johnson's race at the finish if she times it right. A 1:08.7 and a 1:08.9 and a 1:09.43. Top 3 swims. Great racing.
Fantastic racing there from the 2 girls from the University of Edinburgh.
In 3, you can see McGovern still struggling to get the lead. Now in the last 10 metres, Bennett moves into the lead, but being challenged in 5 with a very fast finishing McNally, and he takes the touch in 55.42, that 55.09. Still a hard ask for the qualifying time, but what a great race from these men. Briggs versus Lawson, 10 to go. Lucy Hope drifting to the left-hand side of the lane rope. Who's got the spotted finish? 3 of them reach together, and the victory goes to Lawson in 2:13.79. It's an excellent swim from the heats. It's an excellent swim for the 200 back. It's getting closer to the Scottish record of 2:12.6 by Hannah Miley. Ross Murdoch cutting down the lead as Michael Jimison starts to tie up just a little bit. not getting the distance now. The legs are heavy. They're not getting the power, but he knows to make the adjustment. 1 stroke to go. It's a 2:08.01. Remember his record at 2:07 point. A 2:08.1, very special swim. Murdoch in second place, 2:09.15. And Callum Tate in third at 2:11.02. The straight arm stroke of Arkin going into the wall, really accelerating into that part. It's a good 25.57. It's the same time as the heats, but she's done it in the A final. She's won the race. Absolutely certain then of a nomination. Now they come, 10 metres to go. This is where it all happens.
Yeah, try and pick a winner here, Drew. Looks like Cameron Brodie, or perhaps up in lane 2.
Ooh, I said it could come from anywhere, and it's come from lane 1, 24.62. Nice to see a sprinkling of 24s, but getting down to 24.3 I thought was a big ask to start with. Have a look at this. What do you see there?
Oh, it's going to be a great last 100 metres. Hannah's looking tired, but she's keeping that high tempo, and Camilla Hattersley really working.
Now we see a kick from Thornton. She's held that back. Beautiful, no leg action, all arm action for the first part.
I was just going to say the exact same thing. She just put her legs into the stroke there. It's all going to come down to the last 50.
Indeed, Hattersley still in contention. Thornton in lane 5 in the pink hat. Stroke for stroke with Miley. Miley, remember the experience, remember the talent. She's in here for a race. Hattersley just off the gold medal position, but as we come to 25 to go, she moves up on the swims. Thornton is in danger. Miley quickening up the stroke, 5 metres to go, and Hannah Miley seems to have the edge. A long last left hand goes in. Hannah Miley in 8:36.49, the Scottish record at 8:33, and Hattersley 8:36.91 also goes under the time, as does Thornton. Well, what a set of swims from the 800 final heat. Still in lane 9, we've got to have this event close. At the front, it's Tigers. Tom Gallican bringing them home to the gold medal. Stephen Milne with every stroke hauling in. Glasgow, Sean Campsey. Johnson Shearer rather. Tight at the finish. The gold medal, 7:48, goes to Tigers. Good swim for Warner, and Stephen Milne has made up an absolute hanging on to the block with the effort for that team. What a split from Milne. Great swim from the team, and puts Perth in the bronze medal position. Well, what a set of finals that was last night. And looking forward, you're going to have the same thing again tonight with the men's 100 breaststroke, very crowded. The women's 200 breaststroke, a very interesting race there. The short 50s were always very tight for times. So we're going to take a look now at what's coming up in this session. The same events from the morning, but we don't know if you were here with us. Men's 200 IM, where all the skills are out. The women's 400 freestyle. Great balance between, you know, speed and endurance. 100 breaststroke, the technique under pressure on the short distance sprint. The women's backstroke and the men's backstroke. Good long pacing required there. Sprinting on the freestyle for men and the power butterfly for the women. And we're going to have 4x100 freestyle relay for men and women. Going to see that 4x100 team, and the summer loves to swim in the team event. Just something so different from their normal individual performance. Well, David Leith has come and gone, so another Commonwealth Summer joins me, Rob Lee, and I'm glad that you're here, Rob, to enjoy the session and cover it with me. You pick out anything from this morning, or do you remember something special from last night?
Yeah, well, just this morning, first Drew, obviously, I don't want to dwell too much on the boys' breaststrokes, but it's inevitable we will do so. Michael Jameson and Ross Murdoch obviously going to have a battle tonight in the middle of the pool. Both obviously got the nomination time already this morning, but based on their personal bests and their form to date, we're expecting much more from them in another maybe a couple of sub-minute swims. So that would be the highlight for me, moving on from this morning into tonight's finals. In terms of last night, obviously, out with the men's breaststroke, Robbie Rennick's 400 free again was a fantastic highlight. He's shown time and time again, obviously winning in Delhi. He's kept that form going for another 4 years, and posting a 3:48 just before the games is a fantastic achievement, and hopefully he can take that into the games itself.
Thanks, Rob. Now, this weekend's championship is as much to do with you at home as it does the Summers. We want you to play a strong part in making this event Scottish swimming's biggest and best ever national championships. To have your say, you can tweet us using the hashtag SGNC2014. You'll find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Scottish Swimming. And if you're swimming in anywhere in the world this weekend, I want you to take a picture and Instagram it in using the same hashtag SGNC2014. So, if you'd like to keep up with the latest Scottish swimming video content, here's how to do it.
Welcome to Scottish Swimming's official YouTube channel. No matter if you compete or participate in swimming, disability swimming, diving, synchro, open water, water polo or masters, if you're a teacher, tutor or coach, or simply interested in what we're up to, this is the place to find it, from wherever you are in the world. On our channel, you can watch our key events live or on demand, or simply the highlights afterwards, all for free 24/7. If you subscribe, you'll not miss any new videos, so what are you waiting for?
Well, you remember, when you subscribe to the Scottish Swimming channel, that helps to keep this kind of streaming going into the future. So do your part. We come to the meet now. It's the afternoon session. Same events as this morning, slightly slower heats, but always an opening to make a B final if you swim fast enough. This is the men's 200 metres individual medley. 3 swimmers in this first heat. We have 5 in total. So Andrew Hepburn, Gregor Swinney and Greg Turner get us underway in the medley. What should they be looking for, do you think, Greg? Rob, sorry?
Yeah, much the same as this morning in terms of an outline for the race. So easy speed on the butterfly, nice long, fast tempo, conserving your energy. So Gregor's done that beautifully in that first 50 there. And then onto the backstroke, good streamlining off the wall, high tempo. So the tendency is to drop that tempo in the backstroke. So high tempo, head still, and really just work into that 100-metre turn to work the breaststroke.
Good, so a very strong fly. And Greg Swinney just being caught in the backstroke, and just what you said, not keeping the high tempo up going into the wall. The body drops in the water, slows down, and the two on the outside just picked him up there.
Yeah, you saw that perfectly there. Last 25 metres, his tempo did definitely drop. He didn't carry the energy into the wall, so and he therefore couldn't carry the energy out the wall. So lane 5 picking him off here.
Greg Turner, 5 performance. Good long distance. You can see that, you know, it took him 10, 15 metres just to get into the breaststroke. Then he started to pick it up. And that's what happens in the shorter medley. When you make the change of stroke, you need to remember the technique points. Get into the rhythm, because they all have different rhythms. Even though we're talking about keeping up a high tempo, each stroke has a slightly different picture for the summer, and you got to get into that as quick as you can, and then obviously as you relax into it, you build towards the end of the 50 distance on that stroke. So although down on the butterfly, Greg Turner of Fife, the 16-year-old, entered on 224.8, hits a 220.4 at the wall. So a very brisk start to the afternoon. Good, hopefully a good personal best to the Fifer.
Yeah, definitely.
All cleared.
2 halves there.
220.4, 224.0 and 229. 1, 2 and 3 from that heat. Heat 2 with 8 swimmers, blocks of time at 2:23, 2:24. Oscar Held of Elgin, the 15-year-old in lane 4, has the faster of the 2:23s at 2:23.54.
We've got a side breather here on the in lane 6, so I don't often see that, but you do occasionally see side breathing on fly. The theory being that that keeps your body flatter in the water when you lift your head to breathe and keep the momentum going forward as opposed to upwards. So slight difference to the norm there. See, lane 8 is a fantastic butterfly, and again he's got that high tempo in the backstroke. Little bit side to side, rocking of the head, but he seems to be keeping his tempo going pretty well.
So from the outside, sometimes you just get that, you know, you've got nothing to lose, so you just go for it in the outside lane. Heat number 2. And this is Callum McCall of Delting.
Yeah, he's holding it together very well. Got 3 solid legs so far. Let's see how his front crawl looks when he comes off this wall. Jono Dixon from Bristol just pulling him back ever so slightly in that breaststroke. We closed it by a couple of meters.
Well, good swim in lane 8 from the man, the 17-year-old from Delting in Shetland. 2:24.4 entry time. Very compact and strong on the freestyle. A lot of energy, a lot of power at the end of this 200 IM. Obviously in good condition. Head down, last 4 or 5 strokes, excellent. 2:18.09. Coming with a 2:24. Yeah, very good. So just as the summers finish, information is fed into referee that everything's clear and the board gets cleared. There you are, 2:18, 2:20 to Dixon, 2:23 for Reid. 1, 2 and 3 in that second heat of the medley. No summer in lane 3. Fraser Gill is out from this, and he was out in the morning, so hopefully nothing serious, Fraser. Wish you well. In 5, in the middle of the pool, Ryan Retson. Now, first he was a busy man this morning, and now he's out in different events at a different level. The 13-year-old, 2:22.3 entry. Very tidy up that first 50, I think.
Yeah, you can see a difference in size between Ryan and Fraser there. Obviously, Fraser slightly longer levers, you could tell that in the fly, but Ryan nice and tidy and keeping up with them as best he can.
And Fraser Lowther, we picked up yesterday that as the right arm comes through the water, there's a great big white spot, so he's obviously slipping something there. So 62.8 on the way through, still in the lead. Fraser Lowther in 4 for Dumfries. Now building to a nice finish. This is what you don't get in the morning heats, where the swimmers get spread by the range of talent. Here you get it a little bit closer, a little bit tighter, and there's nothing better than racing somebody.
Yeah, it's the story of the IM, isn't it? So, like you say, you're seeing it a little bit more now with the tighter age groups.
Now this is Martin Carey, Dundee University, driving for the wall, but not having it his own way. 16-year-old Fraser Lowther in the middle for Dumfries. There you are, a commitment. Beautiful, strong leg kick. Nice reach, head down, rushing into the wall, reaching for that last stroke to 16.85. So that leads the event to 16.85. Coming here on 2:22. And heat 3 gone. Now there's no seeding really, seeding within the heat, but each heat is just a block of times that are faster. So we had a block on 2:23 for heat 2, we had a block on 2:22s, the next block 2:21s. In lane 4 for heat 4, there's the 1, 2 and 3. Lowther, Carey and Ritson, and the delay was because of a disqualification. It's the usual outcome of such a long delay as the referee gets the information from the technical officials. Now, many of you will know about the new blocks, been in place for about 18 months at the top level, maybe just a little longer, but an angled back plate, and the swimmer can adjust that to take account of leg lengths and preference. I'm just hoping that somebody will come up with a new backstroke start and give them a little help.
Yeah, the new blocks obviously promote the track start, but so the grab start is all but disappearing now. I think I would have normally used a grab start in my races actually, but obviously with the benefit of that block at the back of the block now, to push off the track start is probably preferable.
So heat number 4 going through. Edward Gray, 103 on the split. Jack Schranek of Carnegie, 2:21.5. The 16-year-old has the fastest entry time of the heat, so maybe the back half is the stronger. As you see, Gray, City of Glasgow, still trying to stretch. Not quite the same power off the legs as Schranek. And the breaststrokers starting to come into play now. They're all moving into place. Very fast breaststroke down in lane 7 by Ewan Dalgleish, but he was so far back at the backstroke that he's not really doing much damage to the race order.
The time to keep in mind here, Drew, as we get into the later heats of this afternoon session is 2:14.86 is the current 20th place from this morning's session. So slight chance of a B final if these guys get on it.
Well, he's certainly driving for something, isn't it? Very tight. 2:14.4 just moves the event down. And the information is that, as you heard, he's underneath the 20th time. And that should give him a place in the B final. And a second swim, and that's well deserved. And we've still got a heat to go. So 2:21's down to 2:14. Big drop for Mr. Gray there as we see the order 14, 17, 19 to Gray, Jones and Sharanek. Fifth final heat of this event, the men's 200 IM. We've got Cameron Muren for South Ayrshire, 2:18.91. Some big drops in the medley and some good racing here in the afternoon.
Yeah, age group swimming, I guess, is you see more often. You see some big drops from younger swimmers, just purely because they're developing, they're growing. It's only when you get to the 16, 17, 18-year-olds that things become a little more static and PBs are harder to come by. So hopefully we'll get a few more personal bests this afternoon.
Well, up there, the race early doors is going to lane 0 to lane 4. MacDonald, McClay, Thompson and Luke Robbins, the Anglo-Scot from Portsmouth, only 14 years of age. In 4 is just struggling a little bit to the race pace. (103.23) going to Hartles over in lane 9 again. Lane 9 proving to be hot. That sometimes happens at a meet, that a particular lane seems to produce the fastest times. It is the split time though, don't worry too much.
Yeah, Luke Robbins, of course, son of Grant Robbins, former Ren 96 coach and international swimmer in his own right. So he's got a bit of pedigree to his name as well. I don't know if Grant's around, but Grant actually used to coach me up in Stirling, so he has got a good coaching background to help him along, Luke.
Well, I was there when he was appointed to Ren 96, and I was part of a committee that created Ren 96, because the E in that was for Eastwood Swimming Club, where I was coaching at the end of my poolside career. So know Grant well, and definitely the medley genes have been passed on.
Absolutely, yep.
Well down after the butterfly, as you'd expect from a slightly built young man. 2:14.99. Robbins in for 2:19, so big drop. So that'll please Dad. And a very strong time, 2:14.99. There's the confirmed result, 14.9, 17.5 and 17.7, the top 3 times. Hartles hung on to second place out in lane 9. And 2:14.4 and 2:14.9, that's top of the heap. And they work through to the end in the summary. But a B swim, that's good. Gray 19 from the city of Glasgow, and a real positive attack on that medley.
Yeah, so good strong finish there. Look at that, head down, hopefully in the last 5 metres. Not breathing. Oh, wow, slight breath just at the end there. Could have just stuck his head down, but good finish nonetheless. Good strong leg kick into the wall. Double breathing all the way in. Sure, we can forgive him for that one. End of a 200 medley.
You're too kind. You've been away from coaching. I would have him. Yeah. No, just back to these tiny little things that can be changed. You know, 20 small changes and you've got a huge impact on your swimming. And that's just one of those small things that we would like to see. You know, you've got enough conditioning, you're travelling at enough speed, just put the head down, you know, and maybe practice 2 strokes out, 3 strokes out, 4 strokes out, 5 strokes out. Just build it up so that your finish is going to be the best it can be. Next event up is the women's 400 freestyle. We have 5 heats, and we're starting with a 4:56, 4:57, nearly on the 5 minutes, and right down to 4:40. So although it's only a 20-second spread, you'll see a lot of variation and variety in both the strokes and the attack on the race pace and race pattern.
Yeah, the 400 free, obviously a very tough event. We'll be looking for these swimmers, you know, the younger swimmers this afternoon, really just to get their pacing bang on and get all these skills that we're talking about, head down into the wall, out the wall. Make sure they're spreading their effort across the entire piece, not just the front half or the back half. A couple of occasions, I think, this morning where we saw some really fast finishes in the last 25 metres, but we're looking to spread that effort, use all the pacing learnt in training to develop the race across the whole piece.
So it's about pacing, it's about holding up the technique over the 400 distance. It's about focusing and concentrating for, you know, 4.5 plus minutes. And these are the challenges of the event, the balance between speed and endurance, because all swimmers will do both areas. And the 400's an interesting distance. At the very top level, it's, you know, it's considered now just a sprint event, even although we know it's not an all-out 100% sprint, but it's classed in the sprints because of the pace they're able to hold over that distance. As you come down the age and come down the standards, you're talking about a balance between endurance and speed as you talk about the developing swimmer. So interesting challenges, very different puzzles to solve at the different levels, and hopefully these swimmers are on the way. Very strong start there in lane 3. That's Katie McKenzie of Highland, Katie MacDonald of Warrender, and Olivia Burridge of Warrender in 4 and 5 in this first heat of 3 swimmers. As I said, we have 5 heats. So women's 400 freestyle.
Yeah, Katie starting with a really strong leg kick in that first 25 there. It's sometimes hard for these swimmers to contain their excitement, having been, you know, waiting for this race for so long, training for so hard for so long. So hopefully she can keep that momentum up. Looks to have dropped the leg kick slightly going into this third 25 or third 75.
Yeah, she'll have realised that she certainly couldn't swim that all the way, or like that all the way. So the 2 Warrender swimmers find themselves next to each other. MacDonald with a 4:56, Burridge with a 4:56 high, and Mackenzie, the race leader at the moment, has a 4:57 entry. Now in a 400, the age groupers maybe not so aware, but you would really want the first 100 to find out just where you are. How do you feel? Because the race is different from the warm-up. You try to get the warm-up as close as you can, but it's very difficult in a busy warm-up to get proper pacing, and, you know, especially for the 400s. I think if you look at the sprint events, they always get a chance to do almost a 25 pace or a 50 pace, but the distance swimmers struggle with the organisation of our sport.
Yeah, I think feeling is probably more important that first 100, Drew. You know, the term that was always used to me as a swimmer was fast and light. Just make sure it's nice and fast, but light in effort. And then it's really the second, third and fourth 100 metres you're looking to build through and actually hit a consistent pace.
So 2:20 on the halfway. Now remember, she's nearly at 5 minutes on the entry, and she's done 2:20. So you can do your own arithmetic and put a guess at the time. You would certainly have to double that, but you then got the start to consider, which is fast, and her first 25 was pretty fast. And then you've got to add in a fatigue factor, and that's where the conditioning comes in. Then you've got a technical factor to see whether the stroke technique disappears. Taking a long time underwater, going a little bit deep off the wall, coming up at 5 meters. So you can see here, 400, the race is spread, so the swimmers actually inside their own race program. I wanted to ask you, Rob, you know, you mentioned the swimmer concentrating on their, you know, their particular individual goals. Did you actually work out a time? Did you give a time to a swimmer when they went to meets?
Yeah, I mean, I think you always sit down with a swimmer at the start of the season and you'll have clear goals, but you have process goals and you have time goals. I think those two are very, very important distinctions. I think the process goals are all about training goals. So we want to train hard, we want to achieve X number of sessions per week, we want to train a certain type of way each week. But then obviously if you do that well and you achieve those process goals, you're going to hit your time goals. So it's all. I would always, as a coach, emphasise the process when they're this age, and the time will come. But yeah, ultimately, when you leading up to a meet in a competition like this, you will discuss with swimmers what they're capable of doing, and you both the coach and the swimmer will have a time in mind, a target time in mind.
Yeah, I have question marks about that personally, but you know, it's always a good discussion point, and it's a very interesting answer. It wasn't so much about goal setting, because that's another side to the process of, you know, targets, aims, goals, objectives, and all that malarkey. As 4:48 ends the first 400 swim, 4:57 entered. And a nice little personal best time. Obviously, things like turns, noticed that she was very close to the wall. That means that she started to drive down and then had to wait on the body coming up, because not employing anything like butterfly kick to bring her back up. So it just slowed off the wall and then had to get back in the rhythm. 48.4, 50.6 for Burridge. McDonald with a 5:09 at the end of the 4. Well, it's good discipline by the swimmers. We had a few glitches day 1 and the morning and afternoon of day 2, but it's starting to smooth out as the organisers close those gaps and seals the holes in the processes for next week's British Championships, and also a rehearsal for the Games. This is Heat 2. All swimmers in the pool. Sophie Dodd, 4:52, and Cara Elliott, 4:52.2, centre of the pool. It's where you'd expect the action to come. But you know, in the 400, and as Rob pointed out, young age groupers, there can be massive improvements, and you sometimes don't know exactly where it's going to come from. There's nothing like a 400 metres freestyle to draw it out, that's for sure.
Katie Lilly in lane 6 there, starting with a really high stroke rate, so number of strokes per length I would expect to be pretty high for Katie, certainly down that first 50. She looks to be quite a slightly smaller swimmer, so that's maybe to be expected. Contrast in lane 5, the sort of longer levers in lane 5 of Sophie Dodd, slightly slower stroke rate but going at the same speed, so it'll be interesting to see how that develops over the race.
Yeah, you have to match that, don't you? The smaller swimmer, shorter arms, you're going to expect a higher turnover, but sometimes they just look big in the water and they can then stretch it out. And then you've got, at this age, you've got different stages of development. That lovely long arm in lane 5 of Sophie Dodd just seems to be eating up the water at the moment. But with those long levers, maybe a slight lacking in strength. You know, if you asked a different exercise from these two swimmers, you'd maybe get a different result.
Yeah, and it's like anything in age group swimming, it's it goes through phases, doesn't it? So Sophie's obviously had a spurt in growth and got those long levers, and Katie's waiting for that. So swings and roundabouts to a certain extent when you're 13, 14, and you can expect peaks and troughs in size and strength, etc.
2:22 on the way through. Now it was a 2:20 in the previous heat, but maybe just a slightly stronger back half. Good little race setups. Lanes 0, 1, 2 and 3 up at the top. You can just see it across the pool. 4 Summers in a line. Thank you, cameraman. They've got a couple of pairs now. 0 against 1 and 2 against 3 in the centre of the pool. Sophie Dodd of Dumfries, only 14 years of age. Swimming out front on her own. Going well in lane 8 also. Abby Mitchell. Looks a good workman-like swim there from Abby. South Lanarkshire. Only 13 years of age. Nice control. Couple of breaths to the left. Then throws in one to the right. Just keeping a little balance on the stroke. Abby closest to us there. Just getting to the turn. You can see the power of the 13-year-old. Can only take her out to 3.5 meters, but still good skills, good extension, good streamlining. She's working just quite hard, quite steady though.
Cara Elliott in lane 4 now, actually had a really good third 100. So starting to pull in on lane 8 as well. Abby Mitchell. It's a bit of a 3-horse race here if Sophie can't hang on.
And that's what Sophie looks to be doing, isn't it, Rob? She seems to be hanging on there. She struggled that last 50, but she's picked up again because she knows she's going home.
Yeah, it's always good to know it's the last 50, that turn. And give it everything in that last 30 seconds or so.
Well, very strong finish from Elliott. She was entered into lane 4 with a 4:52.2. Should get under that. And just catching Sophie with every stroke. 4:48.9 then for the winner. Good finish by Elliott. Nicely judged, I think. And also good back half from Abby Mitchell of South Lanarkshire. So board just waiting on the final Summer registering the finish. Board gets cleared. And Dodd with 48.9, Elliott 49.7. Mitchell came in third at 51.8. McInnes 52.37. Over the top starting, keep the meet moving along. Heat number 3. Here we move down to slight seeding, and we have Libby Adams in 4:49.6 entry time, the 15-year-old from Warner in lane 4, and Jenny Adams, 15-year-old from Best, 4:49.7. And on the other side, Lucy McGee at 49.9 in the centre of the pool. As we start to look at the kind of upper end of the afternoon heats.
Emma in lane 8 there, another representative from Shetland. We saw a Delting club member earlier on, so obviously a decent contingent down from up north.
Yes, and you'd like to create friendships and networks out there, I'm sure. So, as they go to the wall, 5 in a row. That's what we want. Good racing, good environment, good competitiveness, and help, because that's what you need in the kind of swim that they're in. You want to know somebody's up beside you, and you've got to challenge them, and you've got to use them, let them pull you along. You put in a little bit of effort, But more than anything, that's what sport's about. And although you're in an isolated lane, you still want to know where your competitors are and just manage to beat them. Great friendships created in swimming, non-contact sport, very healthy social relationships, but it's still very competitive.
Yeah, absolutely. There's lots of good friends that I've made over the years in swimming. Most of my friends, in fact, in swimming, and I'm sure everyone that's involved in the sport's the same. What you find is everyone has common interests. You're spending 20 hours a week with each other. It's natural that you develop those long-lasting friendships. So that's definitely a positive of the sport.
Yeah, when you get to teenage years, you spend more time with your friends and your coach than you do with your parents.
Yes, yes, indeed.
Okay, we're back at 2:20 for the halfway mark. We had a 2:22 in the previous heat, a 48.9 from heat number 2. So, here we go. We're in 2:20. What can we get in the back half? Can we keep the pace going? Is the technique strong enough? Are we focused? Are we ready to race? Because that's what the National Championship's about. You know, although we're saying this is the weaker end of the event, the early heats, you know, it's fantastic that they make the National Championships, and it's something they should be proud of, something to put in the diary. And don't ever forget that when you go for an application to a university, college, job, get it on the CV. You were in the National Championships.
And this will be their focus. The whole year will be focused towards these summer months, all these big competitions. So, you know, despite being an afternoon session in the slightly slower heats, these people, these swimmers are still pushing for best times, and that's what they'll have in their head.
Yeah, this is their swim. This is their moment. And taking it by the scruff of the neck, Libby Adams of Warner, 4:49 entry. Now this particular heat is scattered over, of course, because there were faster times in the middle and stretching out to 4:52s at the outside. 4:52s weren't far away from the first heat entry time, so you'd expect to see a spread. In the age group level, that spread gets quite large. Over there in zero, Lucy Allen of first. Looks as if she's struggling a bit this afternoon. We feel for her. Entered on 4:52, but well outside that today. Last 50 metres then. Libby Adams, can she drive for home? Breathing every 2, just holding it. Now the head goes down, but she changes her mind. And it just looked like a soft, glad to be here finish. 4:43. Good swim. 43.8, and you can just see up there in zero, that's Lucy Allen bringing home not the best result, but you were here at the championships, and that's important. So board cleared. Libby with a 4:43 first place, Crawford 4:49, and Hutchison 4:51 in third place, just getting ahead of Jenny Adams.
Time to note in this one before this starts, Drew, 4:35.9 is the 20th fastest time from this morning, so these girls have a target in mind.
Tough ask, coach, tough ask. 4:45 entry times. However, we are moving to the upper end of the afternoon heats, and you can see immediately all 10 swimmers just looking that little bit stronger, a little bit more powerful, and well, just a little bit more confident in that approach on the first 50.
Yeah, you can see lane 6. We've got Sophia Green from Elgin. You can see she's just got a little bit more power in that stroke. So it's slow, it's long, it's relaxed, but there is some power. Sorry, that was Ilsa Beck from South Aberdeenshire. Sorry. Nice, long, strong stroke.
And even after that first 50, the first 50 looked good. It's all the adrenaline and the excitement, the anticipation. They went down there like a team. And they're coming back like, well, two separate units now. In the middle of the pool, just turning together though. And if we can get these 4 girls in a line, 5 girls in a line, just, you know, work off each other, stay in the race. Nice looking stroke though from Ilsa. Nice and clean at the front. Over in 4, Kirsty Pitts from Perth, 14 years of age. You've got 13, 14, 15-year-old girls in here.
All on a line so here, so they'll be breathing bilaterally here, so one every 3 strokes to the right, then to the left, so they'll be all seeing each other, know what's going on. Looks like Kirsty Pitts is taking control of this one now.
Yeah, you know, there's a kind of maturity in the way she's swimming there. You know, just didn't panic at all and just gets to 2:19.7, the fastest split so far. So we could expect something better than a 4:45. But it's a big ask, and well, you see, the race is happening now, and it's not. She's not going to get her own way. They're coming back at her. That's good. Love to see that.
Yeah, a little flutter of the legs from Kirsty as well, on that off that last wall.
Now, check out Summer in lane 5, the nearer of the golden lanes. Just really reaches round with the head to breathe. It's a big turn, and it's a jerky turn. If you look at some of the other Summers, Ilsa Beck and Pitts, it's a nice smooth action, especially Beck, closest to us. It's just all part of a natural movement where you can see the head and neck being turned. Now, is that a bad technique? Is it stiffness in the shoulders? Is it that's how far she needs to go around to get the mouth clear? But she doesn't need to do that. So again, just these little things. She's hanging with them, so she's doing something well underwater, Rob.
Yeah, it's just the different strokes you get. I mean, it's habit as well, isn't it? You know, they might develop that at a younger age, and the amount of miles these girls do week in, week out, it's very hard to break that habit if you start it early. So she's keeping up though, and she's got a really good stroke rate on her. Slightly slower with Kirsty and Bobby have a slightly longer. Sorry, Kirsty and Ailsa have a slightly longer stroke, but Bobby's keeping up.
Yeah, she's had a busy first 2 days. Bobby Gregg, she's been in and out morning and afternoon. Now, what have we left? You can see the pickup on Ilsa Beck there. Just a slightly quicker straight stroke rate, and the legs still not in place. As Pitts begins to motor in the legs and gets the head down, still in the same place though, and Bobby Gregg sticking with them. It's very close, stroke for stroke going into the wall. Now let's see if the finish makes any kind of difference. Ilsa Beck's got the head down. She's just put in 9 strokes without breathing, and she takes the touch. 4:44.82. Tight finish, good race, just under the entry times of 4:45. I'm sure they felt they could go better, but a great little race within the event. Heat 4. And the swims are confirmed. Ilsa 4:44.82, then 400s 86, and then another 800s 4:44.94. Great finishing, girls. Okay, fifth and final heat, and closes the event of the 400 freestyle for women. We've got Kitty Price from Alsager, up there in the northwest of England, in 0. Lucy Buchan from first in 1. Catherine Ross, Warrington Warriors, in 2. Erin Rafferty from Carnegie in 3. Katie Taylor in 4 for first. Then Lizzie Cleland of Best in 5. Sophia Green from Elgin in 6. Catherine Lithgow, Warrender. Ailsa Gordon, Stirling, and Lauren Sutherland are in 6, 7, 8 and 9. So the final heat, the 4:40.98 of Katie Taylor was the faster of these afternoon heats. And she's in 4. But again, a strong start from Erin Rafferty of Carnegie. 15 years of age. Out well into the lead after the first 100. 65 on the way through. And again, 3 or 4 summers trying to hold on to the pace and hopefully going to get a race out of it.
Yeah, Erin's got a lovely entry into the front of her stroke there. Nice and clean. The key there is don't disturb the water too much. Slip in, catch the water right in front of the stroke. The more disturbance at the front of the stroke, the less likely you're going to catch as much water. And it's really, really well done there in lane 3.
Yeah, so don't forget,
so Erin keeping it going in the second 100. Katie Taylor from first, just edging up right next to her now. Got a similarly tidy stroke, so these girls are keeping it together really well.
now we've seen 2:19 at the halfway split, so we've got 2:17 on the board, 2:18 on the board, so these women have done well to get under the previous heat. She would expect it, but to do it is another thing. Erin Rafferty, head down, still strong leg kick. This is good conditioning on the legs, but may pay for it at the end. Also a 6-beat kick in 4 for Katie Taylor. Flatter, quieter swimmer. And lane 5, Lizzie Cleland of Best, just losing the pace in 6. Sophia Green of Elgin, just a little bit off the lead pace. It's really a battle at the moment between Erin and Katie. Katie's just not letting her get away. It's good. Hanging in. Going well in 9. The green hat, Lauren Sutherland of Midlothian. Out of shot at the moment, but you know, she's just moved up. Across the field, there's maybe 3 swimmers, but they are in 4th, 5th place. There you are. You get a shot of doing well from lane 9, because obviously the times were, the entry times were slower. She was entered in a 4:45. Now, can they build up? Got 3:32s. If they can get in, it's a 4:35. But that's a big ask. Now, shoulder to shoulder, eyeball to eyeball, 50 to go. So what a race now. Taylor, you can see that the stroke's different, the pattern's different, the effort's different. Eyeball, 25 to go, Rob. What a swim.
Yeah, and like I said at the start, these girls have got fantastically tidy strokes, and it's really did them well this last couple of hundred. They've managed to keep it going, keep the leg kick going, both very well conditioned, obviously. And Katie looks like she might just sneak it.
So going into the wall, it's all about head down and going for it. And Taylor with a faster scramble to the wall. And just takes it in 4:42. But look at that 3rd place out in lane 9, 4:44. Gets underneath her entry time and picks up a 3rd place from a lane 9 swim. Well done, Lauren. And we'll get those confirmed results just in a moment. There you are, Taylor at 4:42.36, 42.49. Now maybe you wouldn't have backed that was the gap off that visual finish. Sutherland 4:44.90 to complete 1, 2 and 3 in that heat. Taylor at 4:42 at the top. 4:42 coming next from Rafferty. Second place as the summary event gets shown, summary of the event gets shown on the board. And the Summers cleared the pool.
Yeah, really tight finish there. And Katie, you can see 5 or 6 strokes without breathing under the flags, and that's made the difference.
Yeah, I think it has.
13/100ths difference there, so time it takes to turn your head, gasp in air, could have made all the difference.
Well, let's turn our head to any tweets, any interesting comments that have come in.
Yeah, so we've got at Caitlin Duffy 1, who says good luck to all the Ren 96 swimmers competing today. She's watching back in Paisley. We've also got good luck at Dodds Duress for the 400 free this afternoon. I'm assuming that was Sophie Dodd that swam so well in that second heat this morning, this afternoon. And we have a message from Swim Ulster. If I can find it, sorry. Swim Ulster buzzing for tonight at Court Coult, 53, and Ashley Highland. So obviously they've got some representation in the finals tonight in Swim Ulster.
Is that it? Where are these people?
We've got Perth Grammar School, Erin Cummings, another PB in the 50 fly, well done. So we'll keep you up to date as they come in.
Yes, and we turn our attention now to the men's 100-metre breaststroke, an event that this morning proved to be very interesting indeed, especially as it followed immediately after a very tough and exciting and hard and world-class race in the 200 the night before. And yet the top athletes came out, and although they must have been tired and stiff and sore, they managed to set themselves up for another wonderful final this evening. And the times very tidily placed for the qualifying time for nomination. So now it's the chance of the afternoon heats. We have 4 heats in the 100 breaststroke. In the first heat, Grant Ogilvie of Carnegie with a 1:15.66 heads up this heat. Now you'll see a very wide interpretation of the breaststroke in this. And we're underway on the first heat.
Yeah, like you say, the quality of Scottish breaststroke based on last night and this morning's performances will really give these guys a boost. Obviously the younger group of breaststroke swimmers in Scotland, but when a couple of people break the barriers, the psychological barriers, the physical barriers on your behalf, it makes it all the more possible in their heads. So I think these guys will get a real boost from that.
Well, I hope they connect themselves to the top swimmers, but apart from the stroke and the event, it's up to the coaches to point out the fact that this is the event that they're in, and they're just part of a historical lineage, and they could move up at any stage. What a swim out there in lane 1. He's going for it. Greg Turner, 5 performance, 16 years of age. Entered on 1:16.89. He's into the red, 1:16, and he brings it down to 1:12.56. Must have heard you, Rob. Absolutely excellent. Greg Turner, 16 years of age, 1:12.56. Boards cleared, 1:13.99 for second place to Johnson, and it was Jamie Easton at 1:14.22 in 4th place. A lot of good swims in there. Entered on 1:15s, 1:16s. Heat 2 brings us down to 14. as the entry time. William Balfour, North Lanarkshire, 14 years of age, in lane 4. Around him, a 14 in lane 5 for entry, and a 15 flat from Connor Searle of North Lanark, also in lane 3.
Nice high stroke from David in lane 5 there. Keeping it nice and long, so he's bringing his head out nice and high, timing it very well at the back end of his stroke. So as he's kicking, he's pushing forward as well, and that's the key. Just adjusting slightly into the wall there, David.
The timing, though, you're right, it's a lovely stroke and lovely distance, but the timing looks like a 200 breaststroke rather than the 100.
Yeah, and sometimes I think swimmers struggle to adapt to the 100 because it's not an all-out sprint, and it's not a long stroked out 200 breaststroke either. And sometimes there's a little bit of confusion in a swimmer's head to find that middle ground.
Well, driving through the water rather than over the water is the swimmer in lane 2, Daniel McGregor of Warrender, but it's still heading it up. McDonald 113.4, David 114.9, so we're still looking at good improvement swims. In the younger age breaststrokes, we have 4 heats only on the 100 breaststroke. So it'll be a tough ask to get into B final, I'm sure.
Yeah,
of
I mean,
the races this morning.
Yeah, you're looking at 107.0 for a B final in this event. So obviously,
well, another year. So, heat 3. Finlay Douglas from the Geary Club, 112.8. Ewan Ling of Rushmoor, an Anglo-Scot, coming up in lane 6 with a 113.3 entry. So 12s and 13s for entry. And a very, very strong looking stroke in lane 8, Billy Davis.
Yeah, he's out like an absolute rocket, isn't he? He's got a time of 114 entry time, so that is...
I won't hold it against him, Rob, but he was disqualified in the medley, so maybe that spurred him on. I hope so.
Turning in 30.5, he's going to be looking at a far faster time than 114.
Yeah.
Under 110 by any... Easily under 110 here, I think.
He's holding it, 15 to go. Everybody looking at the clock. Davis has just ripped this particular heat apart. I mean, whoa, absolutely wonderful. Rory Shirley, 105.67. Well, we thought 107 was a tough target.
Yeah, we didn't give Rory nearly as much credit there, so that's him in the B final, it looks like.
18 years of age. Well, where did he pull that one from? 114 to 1.5. I mean, I've seen some improvements in my day, but...
wondering if it was a typo in the entry form there.
Well, even in a 105. That's incredible. He looks quite calm about it. Shirley then 105.7, looks very out of place in this field. Mitchell with a 111 second place. Ewan Ling did come through to take a third in 112.6. Well, I wonder how that will affect the final heat, who are in on 11s. I've just seen a 65 posted. Cameron Broadfoot then, 111.1. But there's, 4 11s, 5 11s in the middle of the pool. And they've just seen that 65, so they know it's possible for somebody to do it. Who do you like here?
I think there's a real powerful lane 5. So who we got? Matthew Fennick, really powerful front end of that stroke there. He looks like he means it. Whereas, in contrast, lane 4, slightly smoother, Cameron Broadfoot, slightly smoother front of the stroke, a bit more composed. So often the latter can help you in that second 50.
Well, Matthew Fenwick looking a bit tight, tense and urgent. Broadfoot just holding it back at the moment, waiting for a final strike. Also very powerful looking swimmer. Michael Tang in 3, the 19-year-old from Edinburgh University. His time puts him in these afternoon heats, but you know, it's age versus youth here. But Fenwick going to hold on. 109.82. Another single figure swim. It's good. It's very good from his 111. So again, the men's breaststroke, there you are, 109.82. A 10.96 for second to Crichton. Broadfoot, 111.3. Just taking it from Tang at the finish for third place. Summary event, of course, sees that 65.67 from Rory Shirley. Amazing improvement. And there it is, that fighting, driving Fenwick is just adjusted, then goes for the wall. There's a lot of lift out of the water there. I'm sure some of that effort could be put into just rolling it forward a little bit. It's very tight, it's very compact and controlled. So heat 4 completes the breaststroke in the afternoon, and we're waiting on the women's 100 backstroke event. The 100 backstroke, again, we were talking about this morning the difficulty of getting under 110, and we'll go down in 5 heats to 109 on the entries, but just be interesting to see how many people, you know, actually get under the 110. Wish them well. Heat 2 are at 12s, Heat 3 are 11s. Then we're getting a little bit of seeding with, well, Jordan Sturt. I seem to be saying her name every single session. She's in lane 4 in Heat 4. And Caroline McIntosh, the best of the entries in the afternoon, 109.06. But the final heat, all on 109s. So that could be a very nice little race, tight finish, and we'll see who spots it. Complex start for the backstroke. That back arch dive and getting a little angle to go underneath the water. That's the ideal picture that you would have. But at this stage, very difficult to do. You can see there at 6 meters, you've got a swimmer already breaking into the stroke, puts in 3 or 4 arm strokes before the other 2 surface. And when you've got 15 meters available at the top end of this event, you see them coming up at, you know, 14 and a half, and they haven't swum yet. They're still using the power of that drive from the pad and the underwater action of usually butterfly leg kick, then finally breaking into back crawl. But it's all pictures, goals, targets, and in the plan.
Ostasia in lane 5 there, lovely, again, lovely entry at the top of her stroke. Very little disturbance of the water, making sure she can catch the water right at the top and pull her body past her. Seems to be working.
Miss Cerniut, 13 years of age. Well, when you're in Hannah Miley's club, you might expect that very good technique is applied across the club. We got a nice model to work off. 1:14.37, entered on a 13. Just a little bit slow this afternoon for the first heat. And Heat 2's coming in on 112s. There's the confirmation of 14, 15 and 15. The 1, 2 and 3. 1501, 1583 for the second and the third. The next heat readying. You can see there in 9, the Kirkintilloch swimmer. Got the hat over the goggles. There's only ever 1 or 2 swimmers do that, just to a kind of, I think, a nervous anxiety that the goggles might be knocked off or slip off. At the cost of goggles, I don't think they'll do that, would they, Rob?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, variety of starts, and there, you know, you gotta pat the back of a trier, haven't you? In lane 7, she tried to do everything that the top athletes do, but did it so weakly and slowly that she's at the back of the race. But you got to give her full marks for trying, and maybe she can build on that.
Yeah, I think sometimes you can try and mimic people too much. Good turn though from lane 7. She's bringing it back. Yeah, lane 3's got this under control. It looks like that'll be Hannah from Warrender. Looks like a nice strong stroke. High stroke rate.
A lot of water around her, isn't there? A lot of spray. So
it is. It looks a little bit messy when you compare that to the previous heat when the slipping in at the top of the stroke undisturbed. All the way into the wall. Not too bad a finish there. Pretty much.
I was counting her strokes from the flags as you were covering that, and you know, it was 4 fast and then one great big long one. She's obviously aware of, you know, her short stroking high tempo swims. Duerich then 1:10.5 confirmed in first place. Dixon 12:39 and 12:72 to Paige Lang in the second heat. Pool cleared for the backstroke starts, of course. Although I have seen it even at European level, where the swimmer just goes to the side of the lane. And again, just to keep the meet moving. Well, you could put a pin in this. It's 1:11 across the board. It's only hundreds that separate them. Duffy, Caitlin Duffy of South Ayrshire, the 14-year-old in 4, has a 1:11.04 to come in. But it's a very strong start in lane 5 from Eve White. She swam very well earlier. And your friend and mine, Ilse Beck, over there in lane 0.
Yeah, I like the look of Eve's stroke there. Very strong and direct. Not too high in the water. She's got a slight bob of her head. Maybe keep that slightly stiller. But obviously she's catching a lot of water underneath there.
33.5 on the split. Entered on 11. Good to the 75 mark, under the 50. She's just got to keep this going. You can see that training effect of getting on the lane line. She's drifted across. I hope that doesn't distract her. She must know she's there, and she just doesn't want to make any angles to get across, and looks for the finish. 1:09.3, under the 1:10, and it's taken us to heat 3 to get that. So interesting. After all these years, that's long course, still a barrier. But Eve from Dumfries there doing very well. 1:09.31, Ilse Beck out there in 0, 1:11.33 and 1:11.97 to Zoe Scott. They were the only ones that were either on or under their entry time.
We're looking at a 1:08.3 for a B final spot tonight on this event.
1:08.3. Anybody in with a chance?
Well, we've got a few 109s the next 2 heats, so if there's a second and a half drop in anyone, then I think we might be in for a shout.
So this is heat 4, readying. Jordan Sturt, 15 years of age from Warrender, 109.7, centre of the pool. Goes out to 10s and 11s on the outside lanes for entry. Nearest competitor, of course, will be in lane 5 because the seeding goes 4, 5, 3, 6, 2, 7, 1, 8, 0, 9. And nice steady head, good strong first 25. Also going with the pink hat, down in 7, Ali Morrison of Dundee City. As I said, they're not a young club, but with their new facility and restarting the club in the facility, a lot of good age groupers coming out of there. Over in 0, Gulsum Onal from West Lothian, the 15-year-old, up with the pace at the moment. You maybe can't see that from the angle, but here you are, 2 pink hats and right across in 0, just now losing it at 75 as they build to the finish. Jordan Sturt, she's had a very, very good set of swims from the first couple of days, and this looks like another one. Knows where she is, reaches on the left arm, 109.88. So board cleared. Sturt 109.8, Laurie 111.04, and Onal 111.29. Crowding on the 11s there in that penultimate heat. And we move to Caroline McIntosh, 14-year-old from Coast, the city of Aberdeen, some team. 109.06 on the entry. Erin Cummins, who's had a good meet, the Perth Summer, 15-year-old in lane 5. And a Summer who has figured well, Lexi Waller in 3, the Heart of Midlothian 12-year-old. Surely that's a talent looking at the future in Scottish swimming.
Yeah, Lexi by far and away the youngest obviously in this race, so 109.1 for a 12-year-old is not hanging around, so let's see what she can improve upon here. Remember 108.3 to make the B final. So if these girls do a decent PB, they're in for a shout. We've got Caroline McIntosh taking the lead early on, closely followed by Lexi herself. Good tidy turn from Lexi there. Strong off the wall. Oh, Caroline's got, you see, Caroline has a slightly better butterfly kick, taking her half body length up.
She did indeed. You know, good skills on that underwater phase and a nice tidy link between the underwater section and the stroke. And right into it, 15 to go. Now, look at that clock, 68. We're not really at the minute yet. Great chance of getting in here. Now, under the flags, the stroke count, going for the... Oh, not sure of the finish, was she? 108.43. Oh, 108. 107.15 for McIntosh. Absolutely superb. 108.43 to Waller. Just outside the B final. McIntosh, Waller, Ritchie, the 1, 2, and 3. And look at those times, 7, 8, and 9. And then you quickly drift out to 10, 11. So there's only a handful, maybe 6 Summers getting under the 110 out of all the 5 heats. Still a barrier, I think. The summary sees that 107 at the top. Caroline McIntosh and getting a second swim this evening in the B final. And wonderful underwater skills. Let's have a look at this.
Yeah, good, strong, out on her own in that last heat there. 1, 2, and spotted the finish. I think that was the second from last heat there.
You're right.
Yes.
Yes, good spot.
Interesting to see that finish from Caroline in that last heat.
Well, it's too soon to get it, I think. Crowd a little bit stronger than this morning, of course, with the younger swimmers. The parents and family come out. It's also Saturday, so it's the weekend. It's a busy day of sport. Scottish Nationals at the top of the heap, but there's the Grand National, and there's these exciting matches in the Premier League down in England. Up here, it's all over.
Are you sure?
Yep. Almost in every division, it's all over. As the men for the 200 backstroke appear. We have 5 heats. We're at 227 entries to start with. Luke Robbins coming in heat 4. Had a good medley swim. And heat 5 goes down to Andrew Hepburn of Warner with a 2:19.6 entry. So 19 at the top, 27 at the bottom, and everybody looking for personal best times and a good, happy performance. And we've had them. They've just been very exciting this afternoon. Men's 100 breaststroke, women's 100 backstroke. This one a little bit more difficult to keep the trend going. 200 backstroke. Callum Robertson from Elgin in 3. Archie Goodburn, 12-year-old from Warner in 4. And Daniel McNally from Geary in 14 years of age in lane 5.
So Archie looks like he has a slight physical disadvantage here next to Daniel. Slightly smaller, younger, but got a nice tidy stroke, so that could perhaps compensate as in the later stages of the race. Slightly more underwater maybe required from Archie there off the wall. Just popped up and started swimming, so I need to work on that.
Well, nice rhythm on the 200. Just a little bit shaky. Very high at the front. The legs low. The rollover. The drive. And again, you can see there that not quite completing the underwater section. The arms come away from the joint position, the streamlined position behind the head. And as he releases one arm, the other arm went to the side. So not just the control, but of course they are young men, 14 years of age, and you need to have good strength and conditioning as well as the technique.
Yeah, it's a big ask to get everything spot on in a long course pool when you're 12, 13, 14 years old. And
you see him here. What does he do? Oh, changed it altogether. So Daniel McNally from Geary, up there in the northeast. 14 years of age, 2:27, 15 to go on 2:14. He'll need to work it. He's kept that rhythm though once he's got in the swim. Get in there. Oh, soft finish, but 2:26.2 just makes it underneath the entry time. So a number of things, if he can get access to the video coverage, he'll just see what we're talking about and be able to, you know, think about what he brings into the next stage of training. McNally, Robertson and Goodburn, the 1, 2 and 3 from Heat 1. Remember, keep those tweets coming in. SGNC, the hashtag 2014. And spread the word about the access to the live coverage on YouTube. And of course, the video is in the on-demand facility, so you can choose. But you know, we want you to get in there, help support Scottish swimming. Yeah, all the sessions are recorded and sitting there waiting on you. So have a look. There's been some great races, and of course you could cherry pick if you wanted with all your modern technical instruments. Heat 2 then in the race of the 200 backstroke. Stuart Gomez of Aberdeen in lane 4 with the fastest entry time of 2:25.7. It's a strong start in lane 0 by Toby Douglas, the 15-year-old from Best. And in lane 2, Harvey Tate of Heart of Midlothian, only 13 years of age, well up on this race at the moment. 13 years of age. Also, Duncan McKinney from City of Glasgow, 2:26.90.
Got a bit of an outside burner here in the in lane 0. Toby Douglas. Nice long casual stroke. He's holding it together quite well, Toby. Obviously got those long levers, slightly larger than the rest of the field. But he's obviously doing well to catch the water underneath. So as much as it looks casual above, he's doing a hell of a lot of work underneath, which is pushing him along. Time 2:26.7 is best. So looks like he's going to sneak under that.
2:24 then to Toby Douglas from lane 0. 2:24.48, and he's done the business. Just wants to get out. You can see there, quite tall and rangy, but also strong looking. And confirmation of that 24.48. Second place to Tate at 26.27, just taking it from Gomez, who was in third with 26.77 in the second heat of the men's 200 backstroke. 3 more heats, so a little bit of seeding and improvement going on, but we're at 2:23s, 2:25s. Gregor Swinney from the same club as Toby Douglas. That's the best group, the Borders group. Just getting a little bit more power off the start. But the furthest underwater, getting to about 9 or 10 meters. They hit the 25, all in a line. Nice positive start. Only lane 9 drifting off the early pace.
Yeah, lane 5 there, Ian Leach from Delting. Had a slightly slow start, just lacking a bit in underwater pace, but he seemed to be bringing it back into the field. Let's see if he can make amends in this turn. Yeah, all on a line at the moment.
Nobody breaking, but lane 0, Stuart Leonard from City of Glasgow, 16-year-old, just up with the race leaders. Possibly going to take the touch in 7, Thomas Balfour. So it's good for the turn over in lane 0. It seems to be the hot lane in the backstroke. 109.84 going through. Now, this third leg, this third 50, it's a difficult one. You've got rid of the nerves, you're into your stroke, and then you turn and you've got to go again. And psychologically, you've got to keep the tempo up, keep the pace going, keep the stroke together. This is where many races are won or lost.
Yeah, the temptation is always to save yourself for that last 50, but you still, like you say, you still have to keep things ticking over, keep the leg kick going.
46 point on the way through. You can just see there a little bounce going on in lane 0 way over there. Centre of the pool, really not coming back to him. But some in the centre of the pool catching lane 7. And lane 1, Ross McPherson of South Lanarkshire doing well to come into second place and actually putting a little bit of pressure on the race leader, Leonard, 2:22.73. So, surprises in the 200 backstroke coming from outside lanes. Personal best times, a couple of seconds here and there, but a lot of swims on entry of 2:23.24. A lot of swims are a big way slower. We're talking 6 or 7 seconds from the entry times. So a few disappointments going back to the coach.
These guys are up against it as well with a B time of 2:12.4 posted this morning. So big drops required in these last 2 heats.
Well, didn't think it happened in the breaststroke, and it did, but still don't think it'll happen here. Backstroke's quite different, and it's 200s. Thomas Harrison of Warrender, 16-year-old, 2:21.9. Fastest in the field, of course, in that lane 4. And Luke Robbins, who did well in the medley, in lane 8, the 14-year-old, Portsmouth North Sea swimmer. So lane 9, Michael Scott of Dundee University. Dundee University, 16 years of age. Interesting.
There's something in the water with these outside lanes this afternoon.
Absolutely. So nothing too dramatic in the first 100 in 4. Thomas Harrison just down on the race pace at the moment and going probably smoother than anyone else. The swimmer in lane 6, Jamie Murray of Stirling. Notice all the Stirling swimmers seem to do very well with the underwater sections on all the events. Obviously some drilled coaching going on up there for the turns.
Yeah, of course, Stirling have the benefit of having access to that 50-metre pool up there as well, so skills are expected to be good, but they'll obviously have some kind of experience in this length of pool as well, which will obviously help.
Not then. The field, though, getting closer. And the early lead from lane 9's gone. In lane 6, Jamie Murray of Stirling just hanging on. And we'll have to see if any of the field will come back. Lane 5, tramping up the last 50. That's Craig Nisbet of North Ayrshire, but he's going to run out of room. There you are. 2:22.88. We just stay around the same time, 2:22s. Nothing special. 2:21, 2:22 entry for Murray. 22. shaking his head. 2:22.88. Robbins 2:23.48 with a late challenge, and 23.65 to Craig Nisbet for that third place. Heat 5. This closes off the men's 200 backstroke event. Andrew Hepburn for Warrender, 16 years of age, 2:19.6. That's the entry time. And a couple of 19s on either side. Sam Andrews, Cameron Arnott from City of Aberdeen. And if I'd looked up, I would see that Andrew Hepburn is not in Heat 4. Lane 4 rather. He's withdrawn. Sorry to hear that. As the event gets underway then. Again, the first 30, 40 metres, everybody together. No change in the ability. Everybody's just getting up that first 50. It's a strange, just noticing a kind of lean to the side in lane 7. Jack Elby, South Lanark. He's got his head positioned there. Maybe he was just checking the flags in the wall.
Yeah, Cameron Arnott in lane 5 there again. Perfect exponent of the still head on backstroke. So nice clean entry, and you could probably balance a teacup on that forehead, I think. Which obviously has the benefit of not wasting any energy through the stroke, so you can concentrate on levering those arms and pulling your body past your hand each time.
So, lane number 1, Connor Searle, North Lanarkshire, beginning to make a move after the halfway mark. But they're not letting him go. It's a race. It's a good race across the pool. 6 swimmers, all with a chance of coming back. Outside lanes just being dropped off at the moment. Nobody in lane 4. Cameron Arnott just not getting the power and tempo up. See them 3 turning at the same time. Searle, Preston, Andrews from North Lanark, South Aberdeen and West Lothian. And you can see them. They know each other's there. It's a race. There's 3 together on the other side. In lane 5, Cameron Arnott's coming back a little bit. In 6, Logan Jemison and Jack Elby. And then driving for the wall, right on the lane rope again. Lane 2, Kieran Preston takes it to 20.97. Well, that sits on the top of the pile of 200 backstrokers. It's a slight improvement, slightly off the entry time of the fastest, but it's a kind of marginally right on the button. Preston 1, Andrews 2:22.6 on second, and Jemison with 2:23.3 for the third spot in the final heat. You might just get a quick look at the summary with Preston at the top on the 2:20, Andrews 2:22, Leonard 2:22. Then they run through the rankings and it's right out. 2:26 is at 20th, out at 30. It's not a big drop from there, 26, 27s. And that's the event closed. Women's 200 breaststroke comes next. Obviously a popular event, breaststroke. We have 5 heats, and that's a lot of qualifiers for 200 breaststroke. More heats. 8 heats.
I think there's 8 heats of this in total, yep.
8 heats in the afternoon, all qualifying for the Nationals. Methinks that the qualifying time has been set a bit easy. what are we at? 3-7. Now, we're going to get Rob to work here and find out what messages you've been sending us.
Yeah, so we've got a couple of tweets in from around the country. We've got Sarah Dixon at Sarah10Dixon. Great swim in the IM and good luck in the breaststroke. That's to John O'Dixon. So obviously some good swims this afternoon from that. We've also got a tweet from Ian Howells, Ashley Howells, City of Derby Swimming Club. Have a good 200 breaststroke. Swim your socks off. So that actually must be coming up in the next 8 heats somewhere. And we've also got one from QTV Sports at QPUTV, Duncan Slam Dunk McKinnell. Oh, that so that, yeah. I think the producer's been out trying to confuse me with that one. I think that's the producer's tweet there. So we won't want to be broadcasting that too much, but keep the tweets coming in, guys.
Yeah, and we're glad the producer's watching the programme. This is the 200 breaststroke event for women. We start with a set of swimmers here. 3 in the heat. Ellie Neal, Robin Hill and Rebecca Lane. 2 Warrender on the outsides and North Lanark sandwiched in the centre. All on 3:07 entries. Long way and a lot of swimming in 200 breaststroke. So, getting into the rhythm, first 50 out the way. You can see again the yellow hat in centre. Oh, now there's an interesting point, and I hope you picked it up. The goggles had obviously filled for the centre swimmer, Robin Hill, and she's had to stop to adjust them. And she's swallowed water and she's coughing, so, oh dear. How sad. How sad. Oh dear.
Yeah, there's not much you can do about it. It just sometimes happens as a young
I've
swimmer.
so rarely seen it though. I mean, I know that at age group level and the youngsters and the 9 and 10-year-olds it happens, but I don't think I've ever seen it. And she's now trying to continue, but obviously will be disqualified on the stroke rules.
Yeah, but good for her, just continuing. Obviously, this is still
absolutely,
a big race.
but
still a big race.
Yeah. Just having a go. Yeah. It's just if they fill up, you've just got to suffer that and keep going, especially on a technical stroke like breaststroke. If it happened in freestyle, wouldn't be a problem.
Yeah. Sometimes there's an element of panic from a young swimmer as well. When
in
something
freestyle, they could stop and have that cup of tea that you were balancing. So the 2 Warrender clubmates then in the serious end of this first heat. Turning 220. Just not getting the distance off the legs. The legs are going. These youngsters, 14, 15 years of age, so tiring because it is a very strong event, the 200 breaststroke, and you cannot hide in terms of the leg kick and what's required there in terms of conditioning. You can see there's hardly any distance from the race leader, Ellie Neal, there in 3. Just desperate to get to that wall. The legs are making the movement, but there ain't any power in there. But 3:09, 3:10, they're entered on 3:07. And I'm sure we'll get a huge sympathetic applause for Robin Hill. Well, I'm saying Robin Hill, but she's got a Stirling cap on. So, maybe a little change in heat number 1. Amy Malone of Stirling it was. So our paperwork just not up. So sadly the DQ for Amy Malone, and first place 3:09.3 and 3:10.5 for Rebecca Lane. Both have warned her. Well, after that quirk of fate, that. Heat 2 moving to 3:06s at the front end, so, you know, similar to the first heat in terms of their entry and standard. But is somebody ready to bring it under the 3-minute mark here at the Tollcross International Swimming Centre? No swimmer in lane 1. The starter just calling them down. And at this point, it's very difficult to know what the problem is.
Yeah, and there's often some technical problems with the starter or confirmation of results. It can get a bit. It's not ideal for the swimmers, though, is it? In terms of, you know, they spent all day, potentially all year, preparing for this race, and there's an unexpected delay. But that's just something they have to deal with, and something that has to be in their armoury in terms of dealing with.
Yeah, we've got Blair Prentice, who's out, just trying to help with the chat. Looks like is that John Anderson he's having a word with, I think.
Of course, the key thing here is for the swimmers to keep warm and not stiffen up and
I know, and
keep
you can see that you know, there's only a couple of swimmers who have made that kind of intelligent spot, you know. Once you've been told to stand down, it's about, you're right, you don't want to be standing for all these minutes and just stiffening up, especially after you've prepared.
All these little things that you learn, I guess, from experience. This might be the first national championships for a few people, so something to take away.
Yeah, we've got 3 13-year-olds in this field. And just having a look and see who's put on the t-shirt and stayed warm. Looks like, yeah, good. Young 13-year-old. Looks like Sophie Annan, Heart of Midlothian, she's put the t-shirt back on. A couple more. So, in your career, have you ever had any situation like this?
Well, there's been a few over the years of just slight delays, but nothing too long. But yeah, like I say, I think that the immediate reaction is to sit down, relax, try and take your mind off things, keep your mind on the game plan. It shouldn't affect anything, provided you're sat, rested, and warm. Nothing should really change. But that's easier said than done when it's your first time.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's why you come here, for the experience, and it's for the good things and the bad things. And as Kipling said, if you can meet with triumph and disaster and treat those two imposters just the same, so you have to cope with the disasters as well as the successes. Still very nervy. Yeah, men's 100 breaststroke qualifying times done, but they have to be done in the A final. Get in the top 3, having done the time. If you get the time and you're 4th, well, that's the place that no one wants to be. Still more records from Fraser Kane in the S13 multi-class category. That was success this morning, and you know, part of the highlight. Well, No one seems to be panicking over there, but I'm not sure exactly what the problem is. Something to do with lane 1, but I actually, in the lineup, I'm not sure I saw a swimmer in lane 1. I mean, there's one in the lists. No. Right, hot off the press. We have a split swimming costume from the swimmer in lane 1. So a necessary change of costume required, and it's nice that, that they've actually held up the meet for her. Well, it can only happen at something like the Scottish Championships, couldn't it? Yeah, we know it's age groupers that are swimming in the afternoon and things happen to them. But, well, better not be overeating over the first 2 days for that costume to split. With the goggles filling up and coughing with the swallowing of the water, it's been an interesting session. I do remember, though, this is only a few minutes, but as many of you will know, I have the great pleasure of working for Eurosport, and we covered the World Short Course Championships. World Short Course Championships that were held in a temporary pool on the Copacabana beach, Rio de Janeiro. And they got to the first event, and he went, take your mark, and there was a problem with the starting signal. And there were 2 camera shots. One were behind the curtains, where there was nobody, it was just a few boxes. And one was a spot on the Copacabana beach with hundreds of bikini-clad women. I think the cameraman, you know, there was a choice, but I'm not sure why the cameraman was focused on Copacabana beach. But I can tell you, I had to talk for 37 minutes to fill the gap. So this, hey, this is a bagatelle, mere bagatelle. There we are, we're ready.
But you were in Brazil, Drew, I'll make that point.
Hey, actually, I was in London at the time, but don't tell anybody. Okay, underway in the women's 200 breaststroke. Excitement with the wardrobe problem of lane 1, Rebecca Weir. Something that I'm sure the family will embarrass her for many years to come. Every birthday and every anniversary of the national championships. So we've got 306s out to 307, so it's a tight field in entries. But as we've seen, not everybody is able to take the opportunity of being here at the championships and putting in a cracking swim. We just see the differences because a lot of swimmers getting short course training and short course events and just being caught out by the difference of coming to the long course. 200 breaststroke then. A lot of leg work. A long swim, 3 minutes, especially with this, you know, quite peculiar technique within the swimming world for many people.
Yeah, I think breaststroke more than any other stroke, certainly when you're young, is tricky long course. I mean, the benefit you get from the short course pool, the extra pull-outs, the extra turns, the rest and the speed that you get from that, translating that into a long course pool at such a young age can be tricky and really physically quite demanding. So these girls are going to have to overcome that as well.
Yeah, that's a good point, I think, Rob. Cross the pool, in a line, 3 or 4 swimmers going together as they come into the second half. It's where the challenge drops on their shoulders and certainly enters their legs as they try to live off that leg kick. Such a difficult exercise. Doing that squat-like action, thrust back. Trying to get the distance for the 200, but you know, when you're small and less powerful, you're going to be doing lots of strokes anyway. So the race building up in 7 and 8. Caroline McIntosh and Sophie Annan away across the pool. In lane 2, Harris Ritchie, South Ayrshire, up there with them. Now coming a little bit stronger in lane 4. Niamh Ritchie of Warrender, only 13 years of age. Just a little bit brighter at the end, but, you know, just not making it on the taller girls. Nobody really picking it up into the wall. Now from lane 2, Harris Ritchie striking for home. But across the pool, it's going to be tight at the finish. Lane 7 and 8 on the touch. And the electronic says that it's going to go to Sophie Annan. So we'll let you know that in the 100 breast, the qualifying time is well within the grasp of the men in the 100 breaststroke in the finals tonight. Cleared at last, heat 2, Annan 303, Crawford 303, Ritchie 304. Heat 3 then sees Ailsa Duthie from the city of Aberdeen. I bet you that's her sister who's been doing quite well over the meet. And now that the times are starting to flow, I'm sure we'll see somebody break through here, all outside the 3 minutes. But at 3 minutes 4, it really should be somebody breaking out and going under that 3-minute barrier in the 200 breaststroke. But again, we've got 13-year-olds in the field and a 12-year-old, Katie Lilly from South Lanarkshire, over there in lane 1. Working well with the older age groupers.
A lot of these girls, obviously, this will be the second swim in the session as well, so it's all about recovery, racing hard in one race early on in the session, into the swim down pool. Advice, feedback from your coach, swim down, clear all that lactic acid built up from the first race and back in for the second race. So it's a challenge in that respect. It's a very tough session when certainly when you've got 400s, 200s, potentially 800s all in the same session. So it's all part of the learning process, but I'm starting to recognise some names that are coming in for the second session and the second swim in as many hours. So it's going to be tough for them.
Split time, 1:26. Now, it's very difficult to sum both halves the same, but 1:26. Double it up. And can't give the 3 minutes a challenge. But it's nice and smooth. It's a nice little rhythm. Looks as if she could go forever. We're all glad it's only 200, but good swim in 7. Rebecca Mathewson from Stirling, the 14-year-old, checking the wall now, making the adjustment, making sure that you hit the pad hard off the kick, help you round. Nice little coordination. Now let's go for it. In 4, we've got a response from Ailsa Duthie. The green hat in lane 4, 14 years of age. She's getting good distance on this last 50.
Yeah, she's holding it well, although Ailsa's bringing it back slowly. It's going to be a tight finish.
We are running out of pool now as we come to the end of heat 3. Stirling swimmer Rebecca just going for the wall. Just 301. That was a very good second half effort off the 1:26. Maybe just getting out a little bit. In the 126, got to bring it back a little bit harder. Just shift both halves a little bit and you're under. That's what you need. Matthewson, 3:01. Duthie with a fast finish, 3:01.65. Beth Brown, 3:03 for third place. Heat 3. This is the longest event that we have seen so far, with the 8 heats, just showing how successful and popular the breaststroke is. In here, again, Erniut of Giri, the 13-year-old, is in lane 4 with a 3:02. Now let's watch for those interim splits and see if we can see where somebody could make it through to 3 minutes. Brisk start from Mulgai and Bearsden. Emma Williams.
Yeah, Emma's got a nice dynamic stroke there, a little bit more dynamic than what we've perhaps seen so far in this event. Nice and fast out the front, although I'd maybe like her to not be lose such momentum at the top of her stroke there, lifting her head. Really needs to time that forward momentum, that forward push a little bit sooner to take full advantage of her leg kick.
Well, you can see a really interesting shrug at the end for the swimmer in lane 4. Austia Erniut brings the hands back and a little shrug as the elbows come in, but she's got a nice tempo. Obviously slim, light swimmer, feels good, just keeps pouring it on. She's from Giri, of course, as you would expect. Good conditioning. 3:02.7 is her entry time. And just picking up a split, 1:25.9, not too far away from the previous heat. Now we'll see if there's a better back half in these swimmers. Just coming to the front of the event, a swimmer in lane 8, Hannah Fennick, 13-year-old from Aberdeen. She's keeping it long, maybe a little bit too long. You want to catch that momentum. The hands are preferred to be apart. You can see there, the hands apart, the fingers are spread.
I think the other thing with that is, ideally, I think when you push forward in the breaststroke, what you want to do is get your head down into a streamlined position. Albeit it's a very small period of time that you're in that position, but all those little things count. If you continue to look ahead towards the other end of the wall whilst you're streamlining, you're essentially resisting the water, you're pushing against the water, and you're not maximising your glide phase in the breaststroke. I think that's maybe something that that Hannah maybe needs to work on to improve that.
Well, that could go across almost all of the breaststroke, boys and girls. There's nobody really trying to just drop the head very slightly and increase the streamlining. Number of swimmers always pulling back. Well, just powering on and on and on. The slight figure of Erniut from Giri in the centre. She's going to hold off the challenge. She's going to need an extra stroke to do it. 3:00.49. Ever so close to the 3-minute barrier. It's a good swim. It's a 2.5 second improvement. And there you are. Sleight of build. Cap over the goggles. Spot the age grouper. Ernie at 3:00.49. A 0:074 for the second place to Fennick in the tight finish. And 3:02.14 for Williams in third place. Heat 5 coming up. Megan Grant 3:01, Anna Mackay 3:01, and Shiona McLafferty, sorry, 3:01. 14, 13, 13. In the centre of the pool. Looking out to the outside lanes, we're on 3:02s there. Jenny Adams back in for a swim. Gemma Brown. So, across the pool, there's the City of Derby swimmer, Ashley Howells, the Anglo-Scot that got a good wish from the tweet, I think, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, this is her swim. Let's see how she goes. In lane 0, 3:02.45 entry time. Well, I'll let you talk about this one in lane 2, Rob.
So there's probably a couple of things to say here. I think what we're talking about before, putting the head down and getting into a good streaming position, I think lane 2's doing that very well. Who's that? That's Erin. So Erin Snow's doing that pretty well. But it does create a kind of a nodding motion, so there might be scope to have a little bit more forward motion when she's doing that instead of pointing down with her forehead.
Yeah, and there's a lot of extra movement in that, you know, the almost artificial lifting of the head, isn't it?
Yeah.
But it's getting close to what we were talking about and what we think at least is worth experimenting with. Well, strong lead at the first 100. Remember, we've seen them go through in 125, so we've got a 123 split here, so, you know, good chance going under the 3 minutes. And seems to be holding on. Very much unique stroke and out there in front. I'm sure that's a distraction for the others when they see such a lead built up from someone in the field. Really must affect you if you take and register that fact.
Potential for our first sub 3 minute breaststroke today, I think maybe, Drew?
Well, yeah, I'm sure she will. Again, nice and neat in lane 5 as she goes through in 2:09. Now, 2:09 was 2:13 at the 3/4 mark in the previous heat. So a 4-second advantage. So if she can get in, she is picking it up. She is trying very hard to get a sprint going in the last. But you can just see all that extra movement. Almost head dislocated from the rest of the body. Something separate. But into the 5. Going to be under the 3 minutes. 2:53.7. That's a super little swim. Remember, Erin came here with 3:02.35. And over in 0, just finishing now. Howells 3:04.4. Well, unfortunately, just outside her entry time. But here at the Nationals.
Erin getting a little bit closer to the B final time there as well. 2:47.
Thanks, Rob. Snow with the 2:53. McClafferty 3:01. And a 3:04 for third place to Ashley Hills. Okay, 2:53. Moving now to heat number 6. 3 heats to go in the women's 200 breaststroke. Emily Brown, Mulgai and Bearsden, the 16-year-old at 2:59 on the entry. And 5 under the 3 minutes on the entry time. And well, you've got to start somewhere, and the 3 minutes is a good place to, you know, launch from as you move your development through the stroke. So early doors, it's lane 3 and 4 making the break. Meg Patterson, Emily Brown, early on with a slight lead.
Meg got a flatter stroke there in lane 3, so perfect example of a contrast in styles and breaststrokes. So you've got Meg with the very kind of flat, classically flat breaststroke, and then you've got Emily in lane 4, a little bit higher, a little bit more dynamic at the front of the stroke. Both work equally as well for different people, but it's just interesting to see that contrast, that difference. Looks like Meg's pushing ahead now, though. Sorry, yeah, Meg's pushing ahead in lane 3.
So 14-year-old Meg Patterson, of course, goes through in 1:22.63. Well, faster split. And she looks much more fluent than Erin Snow, but Erin did get distance off her particular technique. But here, looking very strong on this third 50. The race tailed off at the back, but just starting to come through in the second half. Meg looking as if she might not be getting the same power off the legs, the same distance in the stroke, but working well. Coming up into second place, Hannah Ellison in 2 from the Isle of Man. There's a group from the Isle of Man, of course, they are looking to qualify for their team as well. Not getting the best of the turn, the Isle of Man swimmer. But, well, it's just all about Meg Patterson and the time that she can do. The rest of the event closing in slightly and getting little races here and there.
Yeah, Meg shortening up her stroke ever so slightly. Don't know if that's a consequence of her trying to rush it in the last 50 or just a little bit of tiredness, but she's still pushing ahead. She's still a good 4 or 5 metres ahead of the field.
Now, can she adjust? Looking at this, 250, 252.84. Nice little swim. How does that sit, Rob?
Yeah, so qualifying time or entry time of 2:59, so that's good 7 seconds off for entry time, so excellent swim from Meg.
Well, Meg Patterson, of course, there. Just get a view of the winner and how much it's taken out of her already on the lane rope for the next start, and recovering as the field gets clear. 2 disqualifications in that particular heat. Meg Patterson, 2:52, 2:59 sub for Ellison, and a 3 minutes low for the third place. Heat 7, 200 breaststroke underway. It's Kirsten Duncan from Arbroath St Thomas in lane 4 with the 2:57 200 breaststroke, but well, not a great start against the rest of the field. You know, Rob, I often feel that in this world of technology there could be a set of codes for the disqualifications, so you know what it is. You know whether it's a start or a turn. You know,
that's a very good point, actually. I've never really thought too much in that, but I think everyone's left wondering sometime, including the swimmer and the coach, for a period of time.
Absolutely.
So there could be some immediate clarity given through some codes of some description. Good shout.
It's a long haul. You know, if you're looking for feedback, you're looking for information. What did they do wrong? And I mean, there are only 3 or 4 criteria that you can break. So a code, if they know that lane has been, they get a note saying which lane's been disqualified, and I think if you just had a code, you could put it up on the DQ.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So, the drive down, the second 50, and we're back again at a 1:22 for Freya Thompson on the split. That's as strong as the last heat. Now, it's all about the second half then. They're going through in 22s and 23s, but the difference is the back half swim, how strong you can be, how your endurance is, how the technique holds up. So driving.
Yeah, that's a nice front of the stroke there, just like we're describing. She really is making a conscious effort to push her head down and get as much out that glide, and she's clearly got a strong leg kick that propels her through that water in that glide phase.
2:07.6 at this. So just on the same kind of money as the previous heat and Meg Patterson. But looks a bit smoother in the First 25 of the last 50. And starting to come to some kind of contention over there in lane 1. Kate Story having a great swim from Helensburgh. In the centre, well, the favourite really, Kirsten Duncan, 2:57. That'll be a goner for her, but driving to the wall, picking it up, looking fresh now. Really picking it up, going to the wall. It's a good little swim from Freya Thompson. 2:52.03. Coming with a 2:58 and comes back home with a 2:52.03. Great effort from Thompson of Perth, the 13-year-old. Well, doesn't look too pleased at that, does she? Come on, Freya, that was a good swim.
She probably needs to get over the physical effort first before she cracks a smile.
Oh, maybe crying because it's not a 2:50, but good swim. Young athlete, and here's the information being fed in again. A little delay, so expected disqualification. We don't want it, but we know it's coming our way. There you are, confirmation of the field. All cleared at the moment, but yeah. So Thompson with a 2:52.55 in second place. 2:57.2 for Bobby Gregg, who's been out in many, many events at these championships. Everybody safely through as we look at the final heat. Heat 8, 200 breast. In here we've got Emma Thoyers at 2:53.75. She's seen a couple of 2:52s. So will she respond? Very deliberate, stylized stroke in lane 4 from Emma. From Broch up there in the northeast, the 13-year-old. Looks much older and much more mature swim. Strong looking 13-year-old. Over in lane 2, Shannon Patterson of West Lothian going out with her. 38.7 on the first 50.
Yeah, so we're looking at 2:47 to make the B final for these girls in this last heat. So last chance to dip in and get into tonight's proceedings. 38.7 will probably take her down somewhere in the low 20s, which will give her a chance at that. She's looking strong at the moment. As is lane 2, Shannon Patterson, still in the mix. It's all quite even.
Yeah, for second place, the wave across the pool contains 6 swimmers. Now, looking at this, a 1:22.6, it's really not set up, but you never know. That back half swim could be strong, but certainly not down at 2:47. Again, the head still held up. Rob, maybe want to let her allow a little drop.
Yeah, just drop that down as the hands go forward. It's a difficult skill, and it's not going to happen overnight, but it's just maybe a pointer to put forward. As long as it doesn't disrupt the rest of her mechanics of her stroke, which it can do sometimes. So needs a lot of practice. Just dip that head down and stretch the arms out.
And lane 5 to 8 in a little private battle, 4 across the pool, and they'll know each other shoulder to shoulder. A little soft on the wall, most of them, getting too close, haven't made the adjustment, and they're just glad to get to the wall and turn round onto the home 50. Well, very deliberate, very strong technique. 13-year-old Emma Thoyers from the Broch. Up there in the northeast, a beautiful little swim. Now, can we get a little lift into the last 10? A lot of power, a lot of speed, a lot of pickup. Arms doing something funny at the front with a splash, but 2:52.42 came with a 2:53. Much harder for her to drop, but she managed to do it. Well, don't wish ever to be critical, but 8 heats of 200 breaststroke. Nah, that's got to be refined a little bit. So Thompson at the top in the summary, 252.03. Then Thoyers with that 252.42. Meg Patterson also in 252, and that's the top 3. It goes to a 253, and then we're out at high 50s and lots of people over the 3-minute mark in the women's 200 breaststroke afternoon heats. We will be shifting the start end for the 50 freestyle for men. 5 heats. Again, these young age groupers, although we do have in heat 3, I notice a 32-year-old who's swimming a 25.95 entry. Up against, 232s in that field, up against a 15-year-old, Toby Douglas, who was out there in lane 0, if you remember. So 50 freestyle. Now, it's a popular event, it's an easy event, but we've only got 5 heats.
Yeah, it's the event that every young boy wants to do. Splash and dash, you know, almost the kind of blue, coupled with the 100 freestyle, the blue ribboned event in male swimming. So these guys will be pumped up for it. We'll have seen the heats this morning, all the 22s, the 23s, and they'll be wanting a piece of that action. But it's going to be tight for the semi-final tonight. They're talking 24 low, to get into the B final, 24 low. So these guys are up against that, but I'm sure they'll give it their best.
$24 low for B final, was it?
24.04, yeah.
Oh, my goodness. Heat 1 being called to the starter. No swimmer in lane 5. Gareth Allen out. Good powerful start.
Yeah, so good underwater phase there for lane 3. We've got Cameron Finlayson. He took advantage of the full 10-15 metres there, and he's out in front. Breathing every 4 at the moment, or every 6 at the moment. Looks like he's going to take this one. Keeps his head down into the wall.
Well, a final scrabble to the wall, but Finlayson did it in 25.56. He's a 26-3 man on entry, so very good swim. Field cleared on freestyle. Finlayson 25.56, 25.98 for second, and it's a 26 that goes into third place for Ryan Buchanan. Heat 2, it's an Elgin man. Callum Deans, a 16-year-old with a 26.09. Already seen a couple of 25s on the board. Well, all getting out to the 8-9 metres. Nothing as they come to the 25. Nobody breaking. And then in the centre of the pool, trying hard to match the entry time, but it's all in a line as they go to 10 metres. Then in the centre of the pool, lane 4, Callum Deans just reaching for it, but being out-touched by Wellstead in lane 7. Callum Wellstead then, the 17-year-old East Lothian swimmer, goes 25.61 off a 26 entry. Nice swim. McKinney, 25.7. Dad was a sprinter, so that's good to see him there. And Callum Deans, 25.71. Again, a 25 is the best of the field. Heat 3. Rory McMonigal of Hatfield is in 25.79 entry.
It's so important, as much as it's a sprint event, you need lots of power. It's so important to stay relaxed in this as well and make sure that it's nice free-flowing stroke. You can sometimes overdo things and snatch at the water, so it's a key thing for these guys.
Well, we're not sure what happened to Rory McMonigal. He's just slowed down. No Summer in 8. Coming to the finish over in lane 3. It looks like Toby Douglas might have just taken it. No, Ian Phillips on the touch. That's how close it is. City of Glasgow, Ian Phillips, 18 years of age. And again, we're crowding around the 25s for the top swims. 25.93 for Phillips. Douglas 26.1. Ferguson 26.15 by 100 into third place. Heat 4, and it's James Lauder in 3, David Colley in 4, Cameron Park in lane 5. Cameron Park out of lane 5 in the early stages. It's a bright start from lane 6, Thomas Farrell. Strong 18-year-old from Fife Performance. He looks to have this event, this particular heat, but very long arms and powering to the wall in lane 4. That's the challenge now. Head down into the wall, and Farrell does it in 25.34. Still in the 25s, just on the entry times, but marginal improvement by the hundreds. Board cleared. 25.34, then 47, 49, 70. It's now the hundreds that are separating. A big bank of people on 25 point for the 50 as we come to the 5th and last heat of the afternoon. Totnes, 20-year-old, Levinville on 25.3. All on 25 in the entry time. Across the field, all swimmers here. Final heat.
Yeah, 24.99 is the magic number for these guys. Seen a few low 25s now, but see if they can break through that barrier. Not only fast 25 is key, but it's how little you decelerate in that second 25, which also key. Keep that stroke rate going, keep the head down, keep the concentration all the way into the finish.
Henry McKenzie over in 0, looking very good for a finish. Just in second place as Muffet came through in the last 10. 24.83, good swim, and a 24.86 for McKenzie in 0. So a couple of 24s out of that, absolutely excellent. A lot of men swimming 25s, 24.83, 86, 1 and 2, 25.01, he'll be mad. Ross Leslie, just missing out, going sub 25. In the summary, those 24s, of course, at the top of the heap. In the shakeout, lots and lots of 25s, and just a couple of 26s at the end.
So yeah, we're going to see this again. So very little deceleration from the outside lane there. Managed to keep his head down. 1, 2, and it's just lane 8 in the end that catches that. Really good finish.
Actually, it was. I felt that too. Nice and long at the end, nice and relaxed as he went for the wall. We stay with the 50s. Women's 50-metre butterfly. 3 swimmers in the first heat. And we have 6 heats before we go to the relays, and in the 4x100 we can expect a bit of fireworks even in the afternoon. Not that we haven't had good swims, some excellent sprinting there. We're starting with a 32 point. The butterfly for women, of course, technique and power, not maybe the guaranteed characteristics of the age groupers. And we'll just see, it's 16 against 17-year-olds here. Megan McCarroll, Paige Aitchison and Kate Jones. And you can see that even over a 50 you can get a big gap created. Oh, strange timing on that stroke for a 50 for me. Just there was almost a breaststroke like glide at the entry.
Yeah, she had quite a long, elongated stroke anyway.
32s, 33s then for Heat 1 as the event moves on. Katrina Fowley should be in 4. No swimmer in 3. Catherine Offer of Inverness. No swimmer in 9 on this in the lineup. And a lot of swimmers back out for third swims. And we are off.
Yeah, so like we said this morning, this 50 fly, it's key to not disrupt your timing. So you need full commitment, power, strength, all the way through, high stroke rate. But if you disrupt your timing, it's going to be to the detriment. So you've got to stay relaxed, stay focused on all your timing, your kick, your front end of your stroke, and again, just spot that finish.
Going well then, Niamh Brett of Warrender in lane 3, but she's going to be under pressure for the finish if she hasn't judged it. Megan Felt, you see, she got the finish right, 31.08. Just came through to take the touch. And she's been there or thereabouts over the first, 3 days now, South Aberdeen summer. And that's the other challenge. You've got to get that timing right. It's a constant application of force, because when you pull with 2 arms, you are in a dead spot. So you need the legs and the arms to be well coordinated. And you've got to keep that going on the 50, get the breathing pattern right, and at the end, make an early adjustment so that you get to the wall. There's a lot going on in a 50 butterfly, especially for these young women. 24-year-old Elaine Sherwood in 4. Almost dropping into the pool off the dive. Need to be more powerful. And you can see right away in lane 6, Megan Laurie there applying the power constantly. Short, stocky build from our viewpoint, and really constantly applying that double action. But over in 0, watch for Kirsty Forsyth, West Lothian. She's going well also. Now it's all about who's on stroke for the finish. And you see, back she came, Megan Laurie, just on that same stroke pattern, 30.53 for that win in heat number 3. Apply the power all the time. Can't afford to have delays and wait on the stroke. 30.561 and then a 31.3 for third place to Swanson. So we move through to heat number 4. Amara Phillip from Hatfield, 15 years of age, 31.8. Kitty Price, the Anglo from Alsager. Emma Mason of Stirling in 5.
Nice and deep start there from Amara. Maybe could have carried a little bit more pace through the first 10 metres, but up and swimming strong. We've got Emma Mason in lane 5, looks to be taking control of this, as is lane 6. Ailsa Gavin McCarg. Looks like maybe Ailsa in lane 6 just pressing ahead, keeps the head down. Yep, and Ailsa has taken that 31.15. Good finish, Ailsa.
So 31.15 going to Gavan of Warrender Bass. Duharich, the second Warrender summer in the field, 31.35. Kitty Price with that strong finish, 31.41. She swam better for me, but didn't have quite a good start in heat 4. Heat 5. Erin Cooper, West Lothian with a 31.5, the best of a 31-point field. All in together, quite deep. Last to rise in lane 3, Robin Crawford of Wren 96, and maximum advantage gained there as she heads it up, but they're coming back at her, especially in lane 5, Emma Hutchison from Lerwick, and across the field, can still see there Lane 0 coming through for a strong finish. It's going to be all about the judgment of the finish. 4 together. And there's the touch. It goes in to Brew in lane 7. Stephanie Brew from the Isle of Man, lane 7 with that touch. 31.05 and then a 31.1, 31.2 for second and third. Tight finish just shows how important that judgment is on the finish. Sixth and final heat, Connie Mackay, Ren 96, 19 years of age, 31.07. The fastest entry for the afternoon heats, but we've seen a couple of good swims. So can she respond? Ilse Beck in 5 from South Aberdeen. No swimmers in 2 and 9.
Yeah, we're still waiting for a first 30 point of the afternoon in this women's 50 fly, so hopefully these girls can deliver it. Really strong start there from lane 1. That would be Lilia Cross-Seaman. She looks to be having slight lead at the moment. She can keep that going. Yeah, as Lilia keeps going. She needs to keep her head down the last 5 here. If she spots the touch, she's got it. And Lilia Cross-Seaman, 29.97. So not only the first sub 31, the first sub 30. Fortunately, the 20th from this morning was 29.56. So she was very close to that, sneaking into the B final.
Great effort then from the 14-year-old from Royal Wolverhampton. You can see the time confirmed at 29.97. A couple of, well, 3:30s on the board for Mackay, Beck and McAdam. 2, 3 and 4. So good finish to that event with some fast swimming. Certainly off entry time, some fast swimming. And the summary, the 29.
Yep, so we see just the last 2 strokes there in the replay. Spotted the finish very well, but it was tight, 0.3 in it in the end.
Yeah, well, the slap on the head. Don't know whether that's a slap of can't believe it or I should have gone better. But that 29 point lying at the top of the afternoon 50 butterfly as we turn our attention now to the relays. Now we have, first of all, obviously the men's 4x100 freestyle, and there are 3 heats of this event, but heat 3 will swim in the finals session. So we'll see 2 heats of 4x100. There'll be 3 teams in lanes 3, 4 and 5 in the first heat. Mogai and Bearsden, Ren 96 and one team from first. And then we'll have heat number 2. These times will be ranked and sitting waiting there until the finals tonight, when heat 3 will be swum, the second last event in the program this evening. And then the judgment about medals can be made, because it's a timed final all over, or a heat declared winner we sometimes call it. All the times ranked, but swum at different times, just to give the program a little sharpness and a little excitement for the final session. And then for the women's 4x100, there are 2 heats, so we'll see 1 heat, and the second heat will swim again in tonight's session. So what can you tell us about 4x100 freestyle?
Well, I guess like any relays, swimming being traditionally an individual sport, it's a great opportunity to swim with your friends, swim with your teammates, and that provides a completely different dimension to your race. It gives you a little bit more adrenaline, a little bit more motivation. So these swimmers will be well up for that. Obviously there are some specific skills to the relays, so the takeovers being the main one. So that's all about timing. So when the first swimmer comes in, at what point can you leave the block? You can't actually leave the block until the first swimmer comes in. as the takeover. So it's all about timing that element, and we have seen, you know, on the world stage, some disasters with that and disqualifications with top class teams thinking they've won a gold medal and then getting disqualified.
Australia come to mind.
Australia, indeed, yes. So there's a litany of errors that can be made with these relays. So I guess these guys will be wanting to not mess up for their friends, but also put in a good performance for their friends.
Yeah, we talked last night, Dave and I, about you know, going out too hard in the first part of the 200, thinking that you're going to make up a gap and paying for it at the end. Not quite the same here, but there's an element of it at this age that you can actually go out too fast. They're all capable of 100 freestyle, and a good 100 freestyle at that. But it's just something else to consider. But that judgment of the takeover is certainly key in this particular event. Now what we have is Mogai in 3, Ren 96 in 4, First in 5. Coming in the second swimmer for Mogai Bearsden, Ewan Christie, and it's Ryan Stirling and Callum Laurie there. The Ren 96 team well behind. And there's a little bit about selection, isn't there? I mean, there's a little bit the coach can do in terms of tactics.
Yeah, it's all about figuring out who's going to get your team ahead, who psychologically or mentally deals better with pressure. So there might be the older swimmer can deal with being behind. So it's all about judging the order of the team to suit your 4 individuals. So it can be quite a skill as a coach. Traditionally, you'd have your fastest on the anchor leg, but sometimes we've seen examples of national teams at world level mixing that up a little bit and getting your fast guys out ahead and giving your slower guys a chance.
So Mark Elric handing over to James Stephen, and Ian Fletcher handing over to Michael Alcorn up front. The Ren 96 team, James Murphy and Ross Gale in the back half, bringing it back a little bit, but just lost too much in that second leg, unfortunately. Mogai and Bearsden on the turn then, very close to the wall, and a very slow out and then back into the rhythm. So a battle down the last 50 then.
Yeah, it looks like Mogai and Bearsden might just have the strength and the power to hold on.
Difficult to catch with so little water left, but a fantastic comeback from Ren 96. What a swim. Absolutely animal-like in the last. He's not going to do it, but oh, I'd love to see the split on that. As 3:49.80 beats 3:49.83 in the first heat. Now we saw the same kind of fantastic pickup from Stephen Milne in the 4x2 in last night's final. He had something like 30 metres to make up on the 3rd place, and he managed to do that and get Perth a medal last night. And that's something similar on the 100. You've less distance to work. So great commitment. In Heat 2, in 0 we have West Lothian. In 1 it's Carnegie. In 2 South Lanark. In 3 Dumfries. In 4 it's United Bristol. And since this is a club event, you know, they could count. There's no Scottish restriction. It's all done by the entries. So it's about heat declared winner. And a very good start in 1 from Carnegie. Carnegie traditionally a great sprint club. This is Craig McLean taking them out.
Yeah, Craig having a good 50 this morning, so he proved his speed. He has got a lot of speed, not only in freestyle, but I think in the fly and the backstroke event. So we're expecting a good first leg for Carnegie here.
Now, there's no second swim. Normally you would go heats to finals in relay, but there's no second swim. well off the pace at the moment in 3. Dumfries, Samuel Johnson looking lonely back there over the first 100. It's all about Carnegie. McLean handing over to Jack Schranek. And that's a powerful first half. Schranek almost over kicking and over revving, but staying strong for the first 50. Second place is just South Lanarkshire, Jack Elby. And across here, something very smooth, very strong in lane 8. We have Brodie Hewison. Second summer for Isle of Man. But Schranek doing the business, extending the lead. So very much, I'm sure, a front loading of Carnegie, getting them out there. Now the trick of the takeover is to have the incoming summer still moving, and before he hits the pad, judging that last stroke, the outgoing summer going. So what you would see is, if you took a picture at the perfect takeover, you'd see the touch of the fingertip on the pad in the water, and you'd see the toes on the block, and both summers would be parallel, one above the other. Perfect takeover. You just cannot afford to go early.
Yeah, and the margins are so tight with that as well, and it's certainly at a higher level you've got a higher level. You've got the 0.01 seconds is the normal type of takeover time for these guys, the Australians, the Americans, you know, the GB guys. So it's such a fine and accurate skill to master for these age groupers.
So Carnegie, James Collier in for them with a huge lead. But what he's trying to do is to set a time that will get him up there amongst the medals after the finals in the session this evening. Big battle for second place. West Lothian in 0. And then in 2, South Lanarkshire. And over here in lane 8, Isle of Man, it's Guy Davis. For South Lanark, it's Mark McRae, and West Lothian, Alec Forsyth. But it's second place. But that could be important in points and in place, as Collier just ever so slightly starts to tie up. You can see there the legs not quite so hard, the arms dropping in a little bit earlier. Here he is, under the flags, in, head down, striking for the wall. A time of 3:41.34. They entered the team on 3:46.87. So super summing from the boys from Carnegie. 3:41.34. Top of the rankings, goes forward, and that's a target for tonight. In the final heat, you've got 42s, you've got 41s, but you also come down to 31s, 28s, 321s, 324s in some of the other teams. But, well, they've done the business. They've won the heat. They're at the top, 3:41.34. A 44 and a 45 follow them in the form of Lanarkshire, South Lanarkshire and West Lothian. Men's relay. Poolside needs to clear, lots of athletes ready to come on. The guy's still looking at the board, checking that time. Here's the finish.
Yeah, they had good strong lead ever since Craig took them out in that first leg, and they never relinquished it. Really good responsible swims from the last 2 swimmers there.
Yeah, good finish. Just slightly shortening up, but you can see there, head down, right into the wall. Good sprinting from Carnegie. So we have the last event on the afternoon programme. The women's 4x100 freestyle relay. There are 2 heats from all the entries. heat declared winner on the relays. So we have heat 1 and then heat 2 swum as the last event in the evening programme. Nice to finish with that kind of relay. It just has so much going for it, and it's the second last event. The men's will close the event this evening. So the men getting the pole position. So the team in lane 2, South Lanarkshire. Then West Lothian in 3, Perth in 4, Wren 96 in 5, North Lanarkshire in 6, and Mulgai and Bearsden in lane 7. And what we have here, going out hard in lane 3, it's Gulsum Onal, swam well earlier. A little tight to the wall, but get herself out of that quite nicely.
Yeah, West Lothian looking to replicate Carnegie's tactics earlier of putting some really strong swimmers out the front, get a good lead and try and hold on. So Gulsum's doing a really good job of that so far.
Well, teams dropped quite quickly already. Of course, you've got a lot of young swimmers in this 4x100. Well, I'd give 6.2 for the dive. Bit high, bit floaty, bit careful from Shona Mackey from West Lothian. Not the kind of power dive you want in the first 50. Here's Freya Thompson. Now, we just saw her swim very, very well in the 50 event. So she has the speed.
Really strong leg kick, my friend, in the back there. Nice straight arm action. She's maybe tying up a little bit in terms of holding her speed, but she's got a good long stroke. I think she'll hold on to this first place for the third leg swimmer. So the third leg going in for West Lothian will be Natalie Lees, 15-year-old Natalie Lees. Let's see what Natalie can do. Lane 4 is catching ever so slightly. So we've got Natalie Lees going in for West Lothian and Reagan Doig for Perth. So this is the race up the front.
Well, holding their position from the very beginning, but put under pressure there in the second leg. So West Lothian against Perth. It seems to be the Perth swimmer not quite got the same speed. Now battles down the field a little bit. Again, the two teams in 5 and 6. That's Wren 96 and North Lanarkshire just having a private little battle there. The race is gone for them in terms of win, but remember, it's all about the time. The position matters. Obviously, first leads the event for a few hours, and then we'll see the second heat in the finals this evening as the second last event. Final handover then. It's 3:07.7 as Natalie Lees hands over to Shannon Patterson. Now, for Perth, of course, it's Kirsty Pitts. Swam well in the butterfly and in the 400. Now, you can see what it means to race. At the back end of this, you've got two teams that are powering up together. But all eyes and the camera on the leader, West Lothian, Shannon Patterson, 40 to go.
Yeah, I don't think West Lothian can be caught now unless the Perth girl really makes a run for it in the last 40 metres. Shannon's just holding off. Leg kick slight dropped ever so slightly, but she's got a good 2 or 3 metres head start here. Can't see her getting caught in the last 15.
No, we're going to run out of pool, aren't we? As Shannon Patterson brings West Lothian home in the first heat of 2 for the women's 4x100 freestyle. And the time on the board, 4:12.52. Entered on a 4:15.45. So Nice little swim from the West Lothian. Perth in second place with a 4:13.4. They were here with a 4:15 entry time as well. There's the results confirmed. 12.5, 13.8, 17.6, 1, 2 and 3 in the last swim of the afternoon session. So a couple of great swims here to get swimmers into the B final. So they're just taking the opportunity that the event is still open. Coming up this evening, you see the same run of events. A slight change at the back end of the programme. There you are, men's 200 IM. That'll be super. The 400 freestyle, nice pacing race. The breaststroke will be absolutely outstanding. The backstroke is tight for the women. The men's backstroke looking still to get qualifiers there and a couple of contenders, Bennett and McNally. The breaststroke, well, will Miley go for it again? Couple of 50 sprints, that'll lighten up the evening. And then an 800 freestyle with the pacemen getting a chance to show their mettle. And then finishing with 2 4x100 relays, the women and the men. It's mouth-watering. It's been great so far in the finals. I'm sure the atmosphere will be brilliant, and I'm looking forward to it. I'd like to thank Rob Lee for his input. This is today, his exciting initiation into the world of commentary. To Glasgow Life, our sponsors, and Scottish Gas, of course, for the meet, and the production team. Now, we'll be back in, well, just on the hour, really, and the session at 17:30 BST. We'll be on air round about the 17:15. We'll love to hear from you and for you to join us either live or in person here in Tollcross. For now, from me, Drew Gordon, all of us here at Tollcross Swimming Centre in Glasgow, it's good afternoon and we'll see you later.
So if you're in Aberdeen, 5th to 12th of April, come along, Aberdeen Sports Village. For more information at scottishwomen.com/CWPC 2014.
Was great, but I'm getting ready to make 2014 even better.
It'll be a great night just to catch up, relax, and as a swimmer actually get to dress up and look normal.
And then a chance to see lots of people from all around different parts of swimming and have a good evening with them.
The awards ceremony was fantastic with most people turned out ever, so years to come it's just going to get bigger and bigger.